There's a great struggle inside of us, me and you. Who we are and who we want to be. Who we could have been, bad or good, in some other time on some other road, if we hadn't gotten lost the first time our hearts cracked. It's the self-realization tick-tock imposter syndrome bar talk of philosophers and wise men statues, the haunted whispers of self-doubt that the boogeyman uses to soul torture grown-ups on sleepless nights. Who are we, and why, and where is it all going? This struggle finds us and challenges us, and if balanced right, grows us, offers us the peculiar dizzy and hope of change. Our weaknesses in the winter might give us strength in July, maybe. Who knows? We go through this battle dancing on equal stages of brilliance and dipshittery like half-drunk marionettes, trying to paint self-portraits of courage and fear out of carnival mirror reflections. We swing from confidence to incompetence, from good enough to make it and worthy of being heard to why am I here? What am I doing? These struggles play in lonely moments for most of us. These choral voices sing in silence. But for a person who was born to be on a stage, purposed by the music gods for a microphone and a spotlight, the struggle is defining. Camille Harp is complicated, brothers and sisters. Talented and revered and tortured and reluctant, but well worth the trouble. Daughter, mother, wife, songbird. The woman is something else.
Yeah, I didn't play guitar until I was 13. I thought I wanted to, but then I realized how much work it was at like 10, and I was like, not gonna work. I'm not gonna put that kind of work in. But I sang my whole life. Like as soon as I could hold a microphone, I think I was singing.
Were they encouraging that, or were you like...
for sure. So my dad is a guitar player and a songwriter and a great singer and great frontman. He loves to be on stage. Like he's just like the coolest dude. I don't know that he was really encouraged. And so I was the third child, and none of my siblings were really interested in playing music. So, of course, here I am. So, yeah, I was very encouraged to be on the stage. And I just think that I was a little more outgoing. My sister and brother are both pretty shy. Mm-hmm. And it was just kind of a natural progression. It wasn't like I was forced into it. I wasn't like a stage kid or anything. Mm-hmm. I liked it whenever I was little.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you started playing at 13. You actually picked it up.
Yeah. Dad would teach me, a chord or two. And once I got one mastered, he'd teach me another one. So bless his heart, my parents would have to listen to me playing two chords over and over again for, hours at a time. Mm-hmm. If I knew E and G or whatever, I would just play those two chords over and over again. And I would nail them, and I'd keep going back for more. But he never would, we didn't do like traditional lessons. In his mind, the way he thought about it, I taught myself to play, and you can teach yourself to play. Like you need to learn to hone your ear and, play by ear, which I think is it's a good thing for a lot of people. I think if you can't do that, then you're in trouble.
Right.
But yeah, one of the things about my dad's influence on my music, I've got this rock and roll hat on we're talking about, but I've always loved rock and roll music. But my dad and my mom, my mom plays bass and dad plays guitar, and dad writes these great country songs. And at some point in my late teens or early 20s, I was trying to do like these rock and roll songs. And dad said, whether you like it or not, girl, you're country. So I went through this whole thing of I was being dragged with my heels dug in. I'm not country. And turns out I am.
when you started playing for yourself, what kind of music were you playing then? Were you playing country or were you playing rock?
My cover songs were like Janis Joplin and Fleetwood Mac, and I had a little band. My first band, we did Huey Lewis and the News, and we were kind of all over the place. But I wanted to do rock and roll. That's my favorite style of singing. I have, a band or two, like variations of bands that I'll get up and sing Led Zeppelin, and it's still just like the biggest rush ever. But I write country music. I don't mean to. Whether I like it or not, I'm country.
When did you start putting that together, singing and playing at the same time?
Well, it's interesting because I used to write poems whenever I was in elementary school. And, I was published in the Amber Pocasset Fledgling.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And even then, though, I remember I had horrible stage fright. Like, I had to get up and read my poems in front of people, and I would cry. But I still did it for some reason. I don't know. Why I just keep coming back for more.
Right. I sat down with Camille and Norman at the Blue Bonnet Bar. The conversation was a long time coming, and the beers were good and cold. Several years before, she had donated a song to one of our no-budget indie projects. I get the feeling that when our producer cooked up this cockamamie idea of dirt road interviews between filmmakers and musicians, Camille was who we saw answering questions from the get-go. That there seems to be a true push and pull with you. One of your social media accounts, I'm not a stalker, but you're like recovering songwriter. There's like a real struggle there, it seems like.
I don't know when it happened, but there was definitely a switch that flipped somewhere, probably in my probably mid-20s, mid to late 20s, where songwriting wasn't a outlet anymore. And it wasn't like something that I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy doing it, because I did enjoy doing it. But there was a switch that went from just writing to get something off my chest to I have to make something good. I have to make a product at the end of this. And I think that just changed everything, especially just, listening to other people's music and you don't really mean to necessarily, but you critique things, in your own way. And I think in my situation, I was harder. I critiqued my own stuff more than anything, and it just became not fun anymore because I was just so afraid of sounding repetitious, or I didn't want the music to sound the same, and I would get really self-conscious, and then it just wasn't fun anymore because I was so afraid it wasn't going to be original enough, Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does. I mean, it's hard as a fan.
Yeah.
To relate to that level of vulnerability, because you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this is great work.
Well, I wrote 2 songs in the key of E, but do they sound exactly alike? Or did I, is that the same song transposed in the key of A? Like, and I don't really have a theory background, so I just write whatever. It took me a minute, I think, to realize that, some of the songs could just be transposed and kind of be the same song, more or less, Do
you still struggle with that now?
Well, I don't really write anymore. I say that. Somebody I love had something terrible happen to them about a year ago, and I wrote for the first time in 6 or 7 years. And it wasn't even, wasn't something that I sat down and decided I was going to write for this person. I sat down and this song came out. And I didn't finish it, but it's there. I think that someday I will finish it. But I went a long time without writing songs just because I'm my worst, hardest critic. And I felt like if it's not good, then it's not worth doing.
I've got a grave in my heart, and it's buried deep inside. Underneath my dirt, all I've got to hide.
Camille's journey as a singer and songwriter, one might be tempted to use the term legacy if they were given to such highfalutin, has left an undeniable mark on those who share her stages. John Calvin Abney told me that she's the first and most important reason he ever learned to play roots and country music. Kirsten White, a longtime friend and a fellow Tequila Songbird, recalls sitting at a festival as a guitar was passed around the fire between musicians. She remembers Camille being begged to sing a song, and Kirsten told me that when she took the guitar, Camille strapped it around her shoulder and that she had never seen a woman stand up and play like that. That she was the kind of magnetic that makes you want to move closer. Bo Jennings says, I think it's easy to watch her and think, why isn't Camille a household name? And he guesses that's just part of her magic trick. She just says, watch this, and we're all amazed.
Lately, what I've loved the most is being on stage as a percussionist and a background, backup singer. I love that. I love contributing to something that, you've got this thing and it's already good. And what if I did something that made it sound a little different, a little better? Or, and I love that when people do that to my stuff too. Like, this song is pretty good, but if I had somebody come in, perfect example is Alan Orbaugh, when one of my songs is called Simple. And it's just a 3-chord song. And that's one of my favorite songs to sing. It's one of my favorite songs to perform. Mm-hmm. But the song, without the little guitar riff that he put in there, doesn't sound the same. It's not the same. He was there when I first wrote it. That song was built with him. So I think my favorite part about performing is probably the energy that other people bring to you. If that's,
So you're more comfortable being on the stage with people?
Not necessarily. That also could be someone in the crowd.
Okay. Yeah.
That also just depends on the situation, because I've had just as much fun sitting in the corner playing by myself to a room full of people that aren't listening as I've had playing on stage with, like, a lot of attention.
Yeah.
A huge crowd, or just looking out there and seeing someone you don't know that might know the lyrics to your song. That's pretty cool.
You've been doing this for a minute. Mm-hmm. Do you still get nervous when you get on stage?
Yes.
What about a small venue? Are you cool with that, or is it any stage?
Depends.
Any just you don't know?
It depends.
Okay.
I just think that's kind of the thing with anxiety. You don't really ever know when it's going to hit you. And some days, your anxiety pushes you to do things in a positive manner. Sometimes your anxiety pushes you to crawl in your shell.
Right. Uh-huh. Yeah, if you can find a way to use it, then it's adrenaline and then it's energy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's nerves and it's filthy little butterflies.
Mm-hmm. And I've even had people that I play with tell me that I make them nervous because I'm so nervous. Like, you're stressing me out because you're stressed out. Yeah.
You've kind of found a little bit of I don't want to say cheat, we'll call it a sweet spot with some of the way that you play with the songbirds. Where you're like, I'm here, but it's not all on me.
Yes. Well, and we kind of have a little struggle in the band. They're always like, Camille, you got to get up and do your songs. People love your songs. I'm like, I don't want to. Just let me be back here. Just let me play the drum and sing some harmonies. Don't make me do that. Because it's so much fun. It's so much more fun to not have to get up there and command people's attention.
But when you do it, does it connect with you and you get the high and then okay, this is why I do it, and then you forget soon after, or are you miserable the whole time you're playing?
Yes, I really think I am, and I hate to even say this to people, but yeah, I have a lot of anxiety on stage, and I think that I have not even come to terms with that until fairly recently. Yeah. I realize now that I hate to even mention it because I feel, some shame about it, but I used to drink a lot to get through those gigs. And I think a lot of it also was I was working, myself to the ground to play music and do the responsible day job thing too. I was just killing myself to do both. But I also had health insurance, and I was able to buy my own home and, do all the grown-up things. But I did get to a point to where I just completely burned out. It was just too much, doing both. Yeah. And it just was not fun anymore.
Hey, little girl, is it
After she played some acoustic Springsteen for the crew, we ventured to the Scissortail Tattoo Company in Oklahoma City. Ryan Reeves, the owner, said he didn't mind some cameras and conversation while we scored some interview ink. Camille picked out a microphone. I got a trapeze swinger.
I just remember watching my mom play bass, you know, and I was not exposed to a whole lot of female instrumentalists, you know. I loved Tanya Tucker, but she never learned to play guitar. And seeing my mom up there, and the reason she started playing with my dad is because he couldn't find a reliable bass player. And he was like, all right, Shirley, we're going to teach you how to play bass. But she was always just the coolest and cutest little thing up there. I still think my parents are pretty rad.
Do they still play?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Do you play with them much?
Yeah, sometimes. Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's nothing that makes my dad happier, I don't think, than me and him sitting down to play.
It's just, I think, the example we set, it's not what we're telling our kids. It's what we were talking about earlier. It's not what you're telling them. It's what you're doing. It's what you're showing them is possible. Yeah. That I think is so important.
Yeah. And there's that, the side of it that I hope that my kids use music as an art form and as something that they can continue to love, because I think that sometimes the music business takes the joy right out of it.
Camille is guarded but tough, vulnerable but resolute in what she holds as important. She speaks in riddles about her will they won't they relationship with music and songwriting, but her eyes sparkle at the mention of her parents, Carrie and Shirley, her husband Thomas, or her kids. Her story is known to anybody who's been paying attention to the Oklahoma music scene. She's released 4 albums, one she calls a demo. She still plays solo gigs, and she still jams with her beloved Tequila Songbirds. She still uses her voice like a paintbrush that can break your heart. She still fights her doubt and her critic, and she's still figuring it all out.
You know, at a young age, you know, it seems so romantic to like go on the road and play in bars or venues across, you know, it's hard. I mean, not being home or not having, not really having a routine. It's a hard life to live. And that was something that I was not really ever willing to give up. It's my comforts. I love being home. I love sleeping in my own bed. I love not really having to live by someone else's schedule, or, you know, because if you are one of those big artists, you live by somebody else's, you know, by a booking agent and by a manager and all that, and I wasn't ever really able to give up that control.
Okay.
I thought that I wanted to do it all myself, which is also exhausting. Keep it fun, and if it's not fun anymore, something needs to change. If it's not rewarding anymore in some way, I feel like that's with anything. Nobody says you have to be this your whole life, this or that, whatever it is. I say that. I tried to quit music. I've tried several times. Can't. I don't think I'll ever be able to. I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm just saying. Like, it's so much a part of me. I'll always do it in some way or another. I admire people's honesty on social media. I really do. I can tell you that I would prefer to not post anything over being honest sometimes.
Okay.
Because I don't like the attention. I appreciate other people's honesty.
Yeah.
So I try to be transparent as well, but it's not that easy.
Well, and it's not, I mean, the degree that it's actually honesty, you know what I mean? I mean, I come from the school, like, how are you doing today? Fine. Whether you're drowning, whether you're...
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's the same with my mom, my wife. How are you doing? Fine. Even if the world's falling apart. There's that. So I believe, I'm not a big fan of bleeding all over everybody. So I don't post the bad times, which might seem dishonest. But I also think that any opportunity to try to develop empathy with people and connection, especially now. Now, I've always been kind of long-winded, but think,
I didn't mean to say
no.
when you said that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you are.
I just stayed.
Yeah. Thank you. But I mean, really that's what the show's about. I think it could just be a show about musicians, but I think really even bigger than that, it's a show about connection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like reaching out to each other.
Well, we kind of crossed on this earlier.
Stop questioning me.
It's not. I'm not questioning. This is going to be a conversation.
Okay.
About we talked about this briefly earlier.
Okay.
About how I've been asked to do this before, and I
Right.
wasn't ready to do it,
Right.
and I didn't feel like I had a whole lot to say. Maybe whenever you asked me before.
What changed?
Whenever I had kids, it was almost like learning to walk again because nothing you do is the same. So it's the same, like with the interview 2 years ago. Like, I don't think that I would have been able to give you anything. I was all gived out.
That's fair.
But I feel like that I'm shedding. I'm in a really good space right now, and I'm open to trying some new things and maybe letting myself out there a little bit more. You asked me earlier, like, did you want to talk about anything like your future plans or where? No, I don't know where I'm going. I'm just enjoying the ride, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. The plan is, there is no plan. And my dad always used to say that.
Okay.
And I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, who knows? Like, I may not feel like having broccoli for dinner on Wednesday. I don't like to plan.
Okay.
Which, it's also a recipe for disaster. What did I just say? Have a backup plan,
Yeah.
but don't plan anything at all.
You're very cryptic. This is very cryptic. I don't know what to make of it.
Contradiction.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm a walking contradiction. Partly truth and partly fiction.
Oh, that's Chris.
Long after our interview, Camille's father, Gary, passed away. I saw it on social media. Knowing her just a little, I'm certain that the loss is devastating. And I also know from just a couple of conversations that he lives on through her and through her music.
Music has been very rewarding at times, but it's also been very humbling. You can get up there and give it your 100% and think, yeah, I nailed that one. And nobody even acknowledges you. But that being said, I think I told you earlier that I've had just as much fun playing in the corner of a restaurant to nobody listening, just to be background noise, as I have been playing for, hundreds of people.
What did you like about that?
I think it's just the music. I mean, it truly is just the music, and it has everything to do with the sound.
Yeah.
If the sound is good, and you're just over there in your own world, and you're, just kind of minding your own business, and you don't really have to worry about, picking the right song that's going to put everybody in the right mood or whatever. You just get to sing.
Yeah.
You get to
I can dig that.
do your thing, which is,
That's pretty pure.
yeah,
Yeah.
just get, that's why you started doing it in the first place. Not so you could play in front of people.
Right.
Not so you could earn affection or, praise or whatever, which I can't say that there wasn't some of that in there. Of course there was. But that's really not what it's about. It's not. If I wanted to earn anyone's praise or affection, it would probably be my own parents.
Faking a smile works for a while.
To everything there is a season, the Bible says. That means things change. As we struggle within, fighting ourselves and finding ourselves and our potential and our compass, we'd be wise to remember that. Rivers bend, roads turn, things change. They shift and reform, die and resurrect, like spring weeds long thought killed by winter. It means sometimes moments come to an end, and I guess by sometimes I mean always. Seasons come and then they go. It means that people we love move on from us, our fathers maybe, or our dreams. Eventually we hang up our guitars and our voices grow silent in closed down bars once full of smoke and neon promise. And we pack up our cameras and bury our pens in some lost junk drawer. A time to every purpose, it says. Nothing lasts forever, except for maybe tattoos and songs and the story and the truth. The truth that the fight is worth it, that the struggle is beautiful, that tomorrow it will be different or gone, but for today there's a stage and a song and a moment. Play it loud.
You always say that you'll never say, and I'm always crying when you walk away. Thought I could be the one to make you change, but I was wrong, and you're so gone. You won't grow roots and you won't settle down. Smile and you wave, say I'll see you around. Your heart was so light, but mine hit the ground like a stone. And you're so gone. All the late nights and the bar fights won't fill your arms like the woman that you have here. And the road keeps on going in circles. And I hope, dear, that someday you'll find your way home. All the phone calls when you're silent, well, I wonder what's filling your mind up. And I hope, dear, just once in a while that it's me. You're thinking of finding your way back to home. Dirty old bars and smoke haze perfume. The heads turn and the talk starts when you enter the room. The stage lights are bright, not quite like you. You sing your song, baby, you're gone. Then you float to the next town and you drag home to me. So when you're old, staying first on the scene, making a home, but it's just a dream. Your boots are on, baby, you're gone. All the late nights and the bar fights